Hey guys, it's Chris Mom, and I hope that you are willing to play a game with me today. And it's actually going to require some legwork possibly, and some serious thinking, definitely a pen and a paper. So go grab that and I'll wait. Or you can pause the video. I just won't ramble for a while. It's Charisma Mom. So it is Free Advice Friday, but today I would like to kind of do it as more of a participatory Free Advice Friday. So I'd love you to go grab a pen and some paper and come back. So go ahead and pause and then come back. All right, so hopefully you're playing along and you grabbed the piece of paper and you grabbed a pen. At the top of that paper, I want you to write down values. Did you do it? All right. So I want you to write down 10 things that you truly hold in high regard. It can be your husband, your wife, your children, yourself, your religion, your car, your handbag, your shoes, like anything. It can be anything. So this isn't going to be you shouldn't be materialistic. This is really like, did you just get a brand new Coach bag and you're like, oh, it's my baby. So, little things like that. So go ahead and write that down. As you're writing it down, go ahead and pause. And then when you come back, we'll talk about the next step. All right, so hopefully you wrote all those down and hopefully you are playing along, because I think that if you do write them down and you play along, you'll get more out of this Free Advice Friday. Let me back up a little bit before we go further. Where I actually originally got this from, I will give credit where credit is due, is from Paul Mitchell, believe it or not. When I worked for Paul Mitchell, this was a lesson that they would teach their instructors and their students. And it was one that, when it was first presented to me, really, it does a gut check. And it really impacted me so much that I immediately came home, told everybody that I could tell, my friends, my family. I implemented it in my daily life, and I have also taught it to my children. And I just think it's a good way of kind of periodically doing, a gut check and kind of putting out, like, where are you in life? What are you doing? So again, this is not a shame on you type thing. This is really one of those things that I hope you'll enjoy as much as I did and do. So there's my done rambling. All right. So you've pondered and you're looking at those things and you're gonna, did I say ponder? I don't know, I might have to edit that. I don't know. So what I want you to do with those things that you have put down on that piece of paper, I want you to look at each one and I want you to seriously think about why you wrote them down and how they make you feel. Then what I want you to do on the other side of that piece of paper is I want you to write down the word behavior or invest. Either one is accurate, and I want you to take the time to do that and be honest with yourself, because if you're honest with yourself, you'll get a lot more out of this than if you're just like, oh, I love it, I take care of it every day, which is fine. If you actually are doing that, wow, you are far better than what I was when I first had this lesson presented to me. It really, really impacted me that much. So, all right, go ahead and pause and write down those behaviors on each of those things that you put down that you valued. Did you write them down? All right, so as you were writing those down, did you kind of have like that kind of, oh my gosh, am I really valuing this? And hopefully you did. That's the whole point of this lesson, as you're writing your behaviors down and you're looking at these values, that you're taking that kind of self-reflection and going, wow, I say that I value my relationships with my friends, or I value my relationship with my mom and dad, but every time my mom calls, I hit the ignore button because I really don't want to talk to her right now. Or I have that one friend that I say I value, but same thing, kind of just ignore. Or religion, I value my religion, but I just don't want to go to church. I'm just too lazy to go to church. So again, this isn't anything to sit there and make you go, God, I'm a horrible person. It's for you to evaluate where you're at. And as you do that, as you look at how you wrote down these behaviors, circle 3 things, just 3, not all 10. Just those 3 things that you feel like are really, honest to goodness, the most important things to you. And again, it can be materialistic if that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. And so after you circle those, hopefully maybe you'll have a little bit of paper left, or you can flip it over and take those 3 values, and I want you to write a new behavior, how you're going to kind of change your thinking in this. So for me, one of the things that I still work on is I never fill my cup back up. I give and I give and I give and I give, and I forget to take me time. When I do that, when I stop taking me time, I become very irritated. I lash out very quickly. I feel exhausted. I kind of get in a woe is me kind of type mindset, which doesn't help anybody in the house. And so I have learned through the years, and again, this is one that I'm still working on. I've learned through the years that at least once a week, I have to tell my husband, it's your turn with the kids. I'm going to go either read for a while, I'm going to go take a nap, whatever it is, just so I kind of just get some alone time with me. And it's not always easy to do some of these things. So sometimes you do have to kind of finagle or ask help from others. But let's say yours is your relationship with your mom or dad. You know, say that you value that, but again, you see the phone ring and you're like, oh, it's my mom, I don't want to talk to her. So you click the ignore button. What's a behavior that you can change on that? Okay, maybe you don't want to talk to your mom every day of the week, but maybe commit to at least talking to her twice a week. Maybe you have a friend that you really love talking to, but life has gotten in the way and she's kind of back there in the back burner and you're like, oh, I need to talk to her. I need to talk to her. Oh, I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she's not really calling me either, because you're forgetting that, you know, she has a life too. Stop and think, okay, how would you rectify that? How would you make that behavior different? Another one of the things that I worked on was my faith. I will always say that I'm a faithful person, that I have a great relationship with God. And I do. I have a really good relationship, and it's been a hard-won relationship. Sometimes I feel sorry for God, because I talk to him like he's my best friend. So he's had an earful now and then, and I just really feel like he's up there just going, okay, come on, give it to me. But when I say that, at the time of this presentation, I have to say that there was nothing in my life that was showing that I valued my faith at all. I wasn't going to church, which some of you are probably saying, oh, it's not important. But for me, it was. For me, going to church was important. I wasn't reading my Bible. I wasn't really even being a good Christian. I was kind of being not judgmental, because I've never really been a judgmental person. I have kind of always had this ability to accept people where they're at in life, but maybe too quick to point out others' faults. Maybe too quick to give advice where the advice wasn't needed or wasn't warranted. Kind of not necessarily a holier than thou, but probably was coming across like that. And so that was a behavior that, you know, I needed to work on. Another one was I valued my marriage, but I have to say at that time, I really was not investing in my marriage at all. I would come home, I would go to bed, or I would come home, because I worked nights and I was really exhausted, but I would come home and pat the kids on the head. I would cook a quick dinner and really just couldn't wait until it was bedtime. You know, it was just like, I was like, you know, watching the clock, you know, oh my gosh, when is it bedtime? Because I needed some deflate time. So I learned to kind of have this me time in the car. I would listen to like praise and worship music, or I would talk to God, or it would just be quiet. I found through the years that I was more of an introvert than I ever thought that I was. If you meet me, but you're not an introvert, but I am. I truly am. But I'm a social introvert, meaning that if I'm around people, I can definitely be the belle of the ball, really. However, by the time everything is done, I am so emotionally drained and so emotionally and physically exhausted that it actually took me a while to kind of recoup. So it was someone that kind of helped me bring that to light. And she was like, you're actually an introvert. She said, you just have been programmed to be very social. She said, and you're really good at it. She said, so that's why it's so exhausting, after everything is done. So I learned a lot of times that I just literally had to have quiet time in the car. And I respected that and I honored that in myself. I didn't try to be like, oh, that's a horrible habit to have. But it helped my kids. It helped my marriage, because by the time I got home, I had just that few minutes that I was like, okay, I can do this again. And I wasn't so quick to kind of find fault in others, as far as like, looking at my husband going, why isn't the dinner started? Or, why haven't you started homework with the kids? Because, sometimes I would come home and he'd be sitting on the couch and the kids would be running around like crazy. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Why haven't you started any of these things? So, again, with the behaviors, or what you invest in and how you invest in it, is look at these things and take those 3 things, look at them, and honestly work on them. Work on how you're going to change your mindset. And if you do those 3 things, and I would say give it about 30 days, because it takes about 30 days to start a new habit, then look at 3 more things on your list. And just kind of keep going as you go along. And once you kind of get through your list, and you might have one that carries over to each list. Through the years, I've been doing this for, I think, 10 years now. Wow, it's a long time. So I guess 10 years now. I've kept all my lists, and I do have like 2 things that I keep putting on all those 10 lists. And those are things that I honestly do value, and I do strive to make sure that I invest my time and my effort, or my behavior shows that I truly invest in those things and that I truly value those things. And why they continue to be on those lists is to remind me to never let those things go again. Because when you become stagnant in an area, whether it's a relationship or your job, your performance at your job obviously goes down. You just kind of go through the motions. You're like, meh. Or if it's a relationship, you will start seeing where your relationship is affected, because maybe the other person is giving and giving and giving, and you feel like you're giving because you're saying you're valuing it, but you're really not investing your time and what you could in that relationship to make it better. It could be yourself. Again, like I said, that is one thing that I put on there is, I always put me as I value on there. And someone might say, well, that's kind of vain or narcissistic. It's not. It's because I am the matriarch of my family. I claim it proudly. And I am the person that a lot of people in my family come to advice for. I have a lot of kids. And so I have to be able to balance all of that. And if I don't take care of me first, mentally, physically, spiritually, I become empty. And when I become empty, I'm not a nice person to be around. Again, it's not pretty. And you probably are the same way. When your cup becomes empty, you have no more to give. You could literally pour that cup out, and there's literally that last little drop that doesn't even want to fall out. It kind of just runs around the rim of the cup, and it's just kind of puddles there. Just think about that. That's you. You when you keep giving and giving and giving, and you don't stop to take time for yourself and fill that cup back up with whatever you need to fill it up with, it's a bad situation for everybody around. So I hope you had fun with this. I'm going to try to do a few more like this because I really enjoy them, and I know they work for me, and they're things that I have implemented in my life, and hopefully you can too in your own form. And that's what we're here for, is to live the best life that we possibly can. It doesn't have to be you're rich and you're famous. It's just that you're content with who you are. And sometimes that's the hardest job we have. All right, guys, God bless.